Greetings, Dr. Francis, fellow classmates. This is Dale Bittenbender, and today is my commemorative speech. We will be talking about and honoring Gregory Bowington, otherwise known as Pappy Bowington, of the Baa Baa Black Sheep. I love it when an underdog wins. Popular opinion did not have Pappy Bowington marked out as a potential war hero. He formed the Black Sheep, otherwise known as VMF 214, in the Marine Corps, who had Corsair aircraft, and they were fighting against the Japanese in the South Pacific. In the famous television movie, in the series that ran when I was a kid, apparently all the pilots had been going through a court-martial, and he had rescued them and formed his own squadron when the Pentagon had not approved of doing that. But we don't know if that's altogether true. A lot of the pilots actually had good backgrounds, but it was good for Hollywood. These pilots were not exactly saints. They were busy breaking all types of rules, which are considered distracting from war. But I consider them just human and part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the reason why we want to exist or why we would fight for America in the first place. Nothing too bad. Things like drunkenness, dating women, and the such. Also, Pappy Bowington had a dog named Meatball, who was a mascot. And this is just another example because having a dog is against regulations. So these guys were real rule breakers. But if you take a look at a lot of units today, they actually have mascots, and so do many sports teams. And, these are all examples of tyrannical rules by a nation on its people. I believe that we're all free to be human in America. And Pappy Bowington exemplified that. We learned all this by watching TV at least 2 hours a night as we were kids. And we learned many good lessons from that. So the fact that TV is only bad for you, that's not necessarily a true rule either. A little bit of the history of Pappy Bowington. He was in the Flying Tigers in China, and that was prior to his duty in the South Pacific. He had 6 kills in China. Those were aircraft either flying or on the ground. He drinks a lot of alcohol, and he reminds me of Ulysses Grant, who's also accused of being sloth-like by his superior officers because he was drunk so many times while on duty. But he did win the Civil War and actually became the President of the United States. So my point is here that none of these people are perfect humans. They're not saint-like. They don't fit all the criteria of your role model should be. But my main point is that a lot can be made out of those types of people. They may be A-plus personality. Some may be too aggressive, but they have a lot of talent, and a lot of them actually mean quite well. And they can actually be polished to become a big success, not only for themselves, but for the rest of us as well. A little more about the history of myself and the similarities between me and some of these people. In my position as lieutenant or a captain in the Army, I did turn around many individuals who also had disciplinary problems or were in my unit, and I was told, hey, this guy's a problem, or something like that. And I noticed what talents they have, and we worked on the problem areas. And a lot of them went on to get promoted and actually become teachers or trainers in the military of vehicle maintenance, what have you, different things, all types of things. Pappy Bowington lost 48 aircraft and only 32 pilots during all the years he was flying combat missions. And that's due to his great leadership, which I call dedication, courage, and they have 92 recorded kills of aircraft. I think that number's got to be really conservative, because you can look through the history and you'll see that he's had destroyed even entire battalions on the ground sometimes. So we don't really want to talk about too much of that during war. He was very successful at what he did. What I had in common with these guys, they cannot find jobs after they come back from combat, many of these leaders. The people who have the personality, they can even be outcasts. Sometimes they become very popular, like after his television show, he was doing speeches and books and appearances. But basically, I think this is an issue with our society. It comes from being too puritanistic and second-guessing people and making our judgments. They're there when we need them, but then we don't want to give them a job in management when they come home. And what's the reason for that? Well, we'll talk about that later. Let's explain the relative issue to our culture and why I'm honoring Pappy Boeington. Like the TV show Baba Black Sheep, you know, here's what they said to me when I was lieutenant. Hey, Lieutenant, if they pick on you, then that's good. But when they stop picking on you, that's when you have to worry about it. So nowadays, everybody is so cotton picking, get offended too easily, that it's really not good for them. You know, we need to get either thicker skin or lighten up a little bit. And that's why Pappy Boeington is a good example. You know, Pappy was always in trouble due to offending his superior officers. He said things, he was aggressive, he broke rules. He had better ideas than they did. I mean, come on. He was a bright individual and very intelligent. The rules he broke, some in the book and some not in the book. He didn't care. The point is, when you play with the big boys, you get some bumps and bruises. Okay, you're doing big missions and he was a big boy. That's just the way life is. America was a frontier, let's face it. We're only 235 years old, and we're not descendants of finely tuned British aristocrats. What we are is a bunch of frontiersmen, people who came here for either religious freedom or some other type of freedom, and we formed this country here out of the forest. And also the point is that soldiers and students and people have potential. And that's the lessons taken from that. You cannot just label somebody as a problem child or a problem student. The difference is me and these men is that most of the time, well, first of all, I have the same heritage that they do. The heritage is the same. So, what did I do differently? Well, I had better judgment to stay out of trouble usually, and when I would get close to trouble, I normally heeded the warnings of superiors that cared about me. The point is, we are humans and we watch out for tyrannical rules. Pappy is a role model, and now I'm an education major, so what do? I don't label students as a problem child. I look at what their great traits are, and, well, I say that now, but wait till I get there, right? Some photos are in my outline. You can take a look, and if I can put them in a presentation and do other types of. The quote to remember I will bring up at the end, but the main thing here is know them by their fruit. If somebody offends you and you think they're not too great, think of Pappy Boeington. He offended a lot of people, but he turned out really great. People are not perfect. People cannot always do or act the way you want them to. Now, at the end of this, I have a couple exit tickets. And the question is, here's some questions that you're going to write down the answer. Yeah, before you can leave my classroom, you have to give me the answer. How can this happen to a war hero in our society with dedication, that they come home and they have no jobs to come home to, or they can't find a job? You know, I might consider them perfect for management, personally. But who do you know, and where are they from, And where'd they go? Where do they go now? Or do you even know? Or do you care about them? And who should we demote for not hiring them? I mean, did this berserk person, are they a nuisance in the office, or are they very popular, or do they just have friends in high places? I mean, is that good for America? Why do we not hire the war hero? Jealousy. Let's lay it out, folks. What can we do to fix this situation in our culture so that war heroes can get jobs? Or even just people that the boss doesn't like. You know, maybe his hair's too long. Maybe he comes from a different generation. Maybe he likes rap. Who knows what the problem is? There's some issue going on. We are trying to be objective military leaders, not subjective. And you can get into that by digging deeper in the topic. I take my hat off to Pappy V2 because of all these things he's uncovered. Here's a quote by me, by the way. I promised you a quote. This war hero exemplifies something about our nation, that we are in danger of extinction. We're like Rome in many ways. I say we honor Pappy V2 not only as a war hero, but as a role model where we do not restrict human freedoms like romance, heterosexual relationships, gay marriages, freedom to date, freedom to fight with other willing adults, freedom to fight your enemy back and engage with blazing guns, the freedom to work in a job suitable to leadership or to whatever you're good at, A+ personalities, and to not be subjugated under other slower or less intelligent with less skillful managers. You know, the cream always rises, folks. But when it doesn't, that's when we're in trouble as a nation. And so here's a quote by me. Pappy has uncovered a real issue. Reflect on the point to live your life as a human being and not like a robot. And to not hinder others before we become extinct. And here it is. Do not be easily offended by others who have the true grit to lay things out as it is. Quote by Bittenbender. Here's the famous quote. Show me a hero and I'll prove he's a bum. That's by F. Scott Fitzgerald.